I'm just getting ready to build some mounts for this 1956 International cab on this 2002 Cadillac Escalade frame. I've had it mocked up on there before, and that's what those wooden blocks are. It's approximately how high it was sitting. So now I'm going to make some permanent mounts out of metal. But before I do the cab mounts, I'm going to do mounts for the bed. Got the bed pretty much centered right for the wheel well, and sitting about as low as I can go on this frame without cutting the bed out. So that is going to determine the height of the cab once I get the bed mounts built for this. So I'll build these first, and then I'll know exactly how high to build the mounts for the cab. On a previous episode, I showed how I cut the little bits out there to make room for the shocks and flared the sides of the bed a little bit so it fit over the frame rail. Might have to do a little bit more trimming there yet, but overall it's sitting about as low as it can go right now. And I'm going to pull this bed off of here and start working on it. But before I do, what I did is I put some marks on the frame. Let's see if I can show this here. I just put a level on there to the center of this bar. That's where it was bolted onto the old frame, and I'm going to build some new mounts that go right onto there. So I put a level on here, trace the line onto the frame, and that way I know exactly where to build my mounts for the bed. I've done that in all four corners. There's another support up front here, a little bit tougher to see, but it's approximately right there. So is where that other support is for the bed. So I'm going to build another one there, and I'm going to build that out of 3-inch channel iron, and then I'm going to put these little rubber blocks as isolators between the channel iron and the bed. Originally the bed had little chunks of rubber in there on the old International frame. These are a little bit thicker, but I think they'll work okay, and that will cut down on squeaks and rattles and stuff like that. These came with the kit that I got. I'm putting different cab mounts on it too. These are the cab mounts I'm going to use, and they're actually off of a Suzuki Sidekick, and they make aftermarket cab mounts for them. They're made in India. I think I got these on eBay. They're not very expensive, and I think they'll work a lot better than using the original cab mounts that came on the Escalade. They're huge and they're rusted out, and that cab for the International is way lighter than what that body was on the Escalade, so I'm sure I can get by with these smaller cab mounts, and they'll work well on that 3-inch channel as well. So the next step is get this bed off of here and then start building up some mounts. There's that black line that lines up with the back support for the bed, and it just happened to be right in the same spot as this cross member was. This is the cross member that held up the spare tire carrier. I cut that out earlier because it was interfering with the bed. And now I also had to cut out half of this cross member to make room for this 3-inch channel that's going to support the bed. And I don't think I'll lose any strength from that. I'm going to weld it all along here on this side. And the channel is considerably heavier than that support that came out of there. So once it's welded in, it should stiffen up this back end even a little bit more. So I'll get this angle or this channel cleaned up, and then I'll weld it in place. I'm not going to put holes in it right now. Being 3 inches wide, it gives me a little bit of wiggle room there, and I'll be able to fine tune the exact fit of the bed. And then once I have it exactly where I want it, I'll drill the holes in it then. I got that channel iron welded in, and this will really determine the height of the entire truck. I'll work from this point forward, and everything will be based off of here. It's going to be a little bit higher than what it was when I mocked it up. Maybe taking 3/4 of an inch with those little spacers in there, or rubber blocks. But I think that'll be okay. It'll help me with a lot of other stuff. It gives me more room to get the filler out through the side and into the fender or wherever else I decide to put it. Up front I had already notched this cab a little bit to give me a little bit more room for the valve cover, but I think going up an extra 3/4 of an inch will even make that better, and then finally going an extra a little bit higher might give me an extra tire size as well, which I think will look good. So anyway, I'll move on to this one next. I'm just getting ready to weld in the second bed support. Measured from the back one there and made sure that's the same as what the bed is. It's about 50 inches. And as you can see, what I did is I just took the channel and cut the sides out at 90 degrees and then folded it together and then welded the corners up on both sides. And I think that'll make for a nice strong support for the front of the bed. I've got things sitting pretty level here. You can see it's fairly level there and then level front to back as well. It's looking pretty good. What I'm basing that on is I first leveled the frame out here. I got this flat section of the frame as level as I could get it. I've got it sitting on jack stands. My floor isn't quite level in the shop, so that's my spacer. There's a wrench on top of the jack stand to make things level from side to side. And like I say, I think I've got that pretty good now. So I'll weld that in, and after I get it welded in, I'll decide whether or not I need to put extra supports in there or not. I was thinking about putting an extra brace back here, but we'll see. It might be strong enough as is. I'm a little bit worried about welding on that side because it's right next to the gas tank, but I'm going to throw a sheet of metal in between the frame and the gas tank, and hoping that'll keep all the sparks away from the tank and I won't blow myself up. Well, I got that welded in and I didn't blow myself up, so that's good. I had set some metal sheets over the tank there. I think it would have taken quite a spark to get through that plastic, but I didn't want to take any chances. I had thought of setting up the camera just in case there was an explosion. I would have got more views for sure with that, but I was relatively sure that it would all go well. So anyway, this is all set to go now. I don't think I'm going to need any extra supports in there. I think that's going to be good and solid as is. I've got the little isolator blocks on top. I'll go get the tractor and set the bed on there and see how that fits. I've got the bed back on the frame and it seems to be sitting on there nice and solid. Pretty level both ways. I've checked it. It's about an inch higher than when I mocked it up. It looks higher than that right now because I've got it sitting on jack stands and the back axle is actually drooping a little bit. Once I get the weight back on the axle, I don't think that'll be quite as bad. But if I don't like it, I do have a little bit of play with these isolators here. They're 3/8 of an inch, and if I don't like it, I can drop it down another 1/4 inch. Just find isolators that are about 1/8 of an inch, and that will gain me a 1/4 inch, and it'll sit a little bit lower. So we'll see how it turns out. Underneath here you can see that inch before it was pretty much right up into that cut area, and this corner I thought I would have to cut it out because it was touching the frame, and now you can see I've got about 1 inch play in there. In the back here, see if I can get the light on there properly. Yeah, you can see it's sitting on that piece of channel, and that all looks pretty good. And then up front here, see if I can get light in there. Yeah, you can see the little isolator and the channel iron, and it's sitting in there too, and it seems to be pretty nice and centered. So this is good. Now I can start building the mounts for the cab. Just thought I'd leave the tractor there so you can see how I lift this thing. I've moved the forks right together, hook them through these ratchet straps. I did make a short video on that if you want to actually see it being lifted. But it seems to work good. It's nice. I can just set it down outside on sawhorses and work on this, and when I need it, just get the tractor and put it back on. So anyway, I think this worked out not too bad. I think I'll end this video here and make another one when I get the cab all set on there. So anyway, thanks again for watching, and hopefully I can get another update out soon.